Hello everyone. How are you doing? Hopefully good. Just a few things before I get started with this video. First, if you hear any loud barks or noises or scurries across the floor, that's that little Lily over there. Just being rambunctious as she is. And also, I did upload a video very similar to this a while ago, but I did it on our main computer and the sound must have not been on. So I basically did a 25-minute video of me just talking without sound. So, oops. And also, before you watch this video, if you have not seen my previous testimonies, I believe they're on my channel, and it's like Jay's testimony part 1 and 2. I recommend you watch those first, because I will probably be referencing a lot of stuff that has to do with it. So, I'll start. So, um, I don't even know where to begin. That's really sad since I just said I was gonna start. Um, I guess I'll start. I, if you watch the videos that I just talked about, the part 1 and 2, I was able to preach that to my youth group in the beginning of August, and it was a very good experience. I got numerous people telling me that um, it was one of the most beneficial things they'd ever heard, and that it changed them, and that's really good. And I'm really glad because literally that's all I want to do is I've been through so much, and if I can help one person, then I feel like my life's fulfilled. And so to continue on, at the end of August, two very big milestones happened for me. First, on August 28th, I met one of my inspirations, Demi Lovato, at the Minnesota State Fair, which was honestly an amazing thing for me because as I'm actually going to post a video right after this one about why, because I post a lot about Demi on my Twitter, sometimes Facebook, and the Carrying Bridge. Which, first of all, because I'll probably forget at the end, I recommend that you first go check out my Carrying Bridge, Jay Lubinsky. I don't exactly know what it is. It might be J.Lubinsky, all lowercase. And then my Twitter, the one called J, J just the letter, all one word, for updates on this sort of things. So meeting Demi was one of the best things because is a real inspiration to me about being bullied and how that can negatively impact you to the point where you just explode. Not literally, obviously, but and it has to be dealt with and the positive things that can come from it. And she is such a role model to so many people. And even though I'm at 21, almost a whole year older than her, she's an inspiration to me. And while I have my parents as inspirations, God is obviously like a really big part of my life. She is like another human inspiration to me. So that was a big thing. And then the day after, the August 29th, I started back in school. But this time as a math major. I was pastoral studies, like to become a pastor of any type at North Central. But during the summer, I didn't really feel passionate about that, so I switched to math. And that I'm not going to explain too much about this, but I will later in this video. And also at this point, I had lost probably the most amount of weight that I had, and I weighed like the least that I had in a really long time. And that's a really big part because ever since like the middle of June, I'd been on this very strict weight program where it's like cleansing, then workout routines, and it's all very weird. And I'm sorry that I'm sniffling a lot. Minnesota, it's cold. Okay, so on to the real part of this video. I was at school for about 5, 6 weeks, but on September 28th, that all changed. I was at work, and I work at the box office, so I was in front. And it was about 9:30 at night when all of a sudden I supposedly, to my knowledge, lost consciousness, I can enunciate, very briefly in order to come back, and there was like a long line of people who were all wanting tickets. And I was all of a sudden like not really remembering how to do it. And I was like making errors, and this one girl specifically got really mad at me, and I don't know, it was like a huge dream, so I didn't really care, which sounds mean, but I mean, I didn't know what was going on. And so that all passed, and I was just like feeling really warm. I think I was freaking out, and I called up my manager and I was like, I need to go on break now, please, because I never took breaks. I work in box for half the time. I can like read and just sit there, so I don't need breaks a lot. So I went on break and I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I don't know what's going on. And first she talked about like me being sick like the flu, and I was like, no, this isn't going to be the flu. Lily, why are you looking at me? I love that girl. And she said that and I was like, I don't think so. And then she mentioned a brain tumor and that like freaked me out because that I'd never even been considered ever having one, so I was just freaking out. And I felt myself warm down, cool down. After like 30 minutes, I went back in. Now at about 11:30, I don't really remember, I have another episode of it, except this time it gets worse to the point where I'm like telling customers the wrong way to go. I can't even find my walkie-talkie that's right in front of me, and I'm starting not to be able to speak. And it got to the point where I was the only box office. There's two boxes normally, box office, like people on two different sides of the entrance. I can talk, and I only one of them was open because it was like 11 at night. You wouldn't need two. It wasn't like a big movie night. I like turned my light off and just started pacing in the back of my box saying, I think I'm gonna die. I'm forgetting everything. I'm getting freaked out. I do not know what's going on. Help. And I was just like praying, like, God, please do not let me die. I'm not ready to die. And eventually, I was able to mentally find my walkie-talkie, which was right in front of me, and get the words out. I need a manager in box. And eventually one came, and I just said, I do not feel good. I need to leave. And they let me, because I probably would have only been in there like an hour at the most left, so I don't think it was that big of a deal. So I left, and I started walking out when I called my mom, and I just started like bawling to her, like, I do not know what's going on. And she's asking me, like, where are you? And I knew where I was, but mentally I could not like think of what it was called. So I was like, I don't know. I don't know where I am. And she was like, go to your car, which I knew where that was, but I couldn't like mentally tell myself to open it. Like I couldn't tell myself to reach my hand out, grab the handle, pull it, and get in. Luckily I was able to do it, but I just remember like crying to her, and then she put my brother on the phone because they like called 911 because I didn't know where I was and they were gonna have an ambulance come there, and I just bawled to my brother thinking like this is the last time I'm ever gonna talk to my brother. I'm gonna die. My brain is slowly shutting down, and it was really terrifying. At the time, besides crying, I wasn't like scared to the point where I actually was like shaking or anything, but I was really just like, to me, this whole thing has felt like a dream. So it wasn't as scary. I was just very confused about what was going on, which is why I was crying. So then the ambulance person comes, and I somehow got into my car. So I came out and was talking to him right around when my parents got there, luckily. And he was like asking me questions. I wasn't able to answer him. So we went down to the hospital around where I worked, and they did a CAT scan. And at this point, it's like 12:30 in the morning on September 29th. And so we did a CAT scan, and they actually found a brain tumor right in the back left part of my head. And so they found it. And so they recommended we go to the same place I had my surgeries at the U of M Medical Center. So they brought me up there that day, and I was just there. And we were actually waiting the whole time just to have like MRIs done and CT scans. So we had to wait a whole day actually just to get that done. So I was waiting there. People came to visit me, which was very nice. If you were one of the people who came to visit me, I'm like eternally indebted to you because it was amazing, that part. And so that all happened, and they found out that actually they believe that I had a tumor in the back, as I said, and the reason I blacked out, supposedly, is because it started bleeding, which is actually really a blessing because it could have killed me if it wouldn't have done that. That I would need to get it taken out immediately. So my first order of business was, what about school? Like, I'm 6 weeks into the semester. I didn't just start. We're almost halfway through the semester. What am I gonna do? So I had to drop out of school. I contacted my work and told them that of what happened, and apparently one of my friends told me that everyone at my work was very sympathetic about it, and I actually got a card from them, and my work has been amazing. Um, so that all happened, and I just remember the night before I had my surgery, so it was October 1st, 2012, and I was just sitting there in a room, and my pastor and her husband were talking to me, and they came to visit me, and I was just feeling at ease. And so then the next day, I got brought into surgery. It was a very easy surgery. I wasn't really, I haven't this whole time really been in pain because they cut me. I don't know if you can see at all, but they cut me from right behind my ear, all the way up to there, and it's actually still numb. Um, so they cut me there, and so for the next 2 days, I was in recovery. And the thing that I was feeling really bad about was that the doctor and surgeon kept asking me all these math questions, and I'm a math person. I've loved math. I've probably said that on here, but I love math. And to a lot of people that's crazy, but I just really like it. I took all the math I needed to, even though I didn't need to. I just wanted to. And so he was asking me math questions as easy as what's 8 times 8? And I'd be like, I don't know. And I believe he would show me, he would tell me a finger and a side to point to, and I'd get it wrong sometimes. He'd be point to your left ring finger, and I'd point to the wrong one or say, I don't know. So that was really hard, just visualizing the fact that I was getting all this wrong, because this whole time I'm supposedly, to all these people, I'm this really smart guy, and to all of a sudden have a brain tumor and not be able to remember anything. It's if you watch my testimonies, for the longest time that was the only thing I had to show myself with was smarts, and the fact that I was losing that was I'm dumb. Well, slowly I was recovering, and actually, I had the surgery, I think it was a Tuesday, October 2nd, and on the 4th, they already let me go home. And so they had all these things planned and stuff, you're gonna go do this therapy, you're gonna do this, and we'll call you about, because they took the tumor out and sent it in to see if it was cancerous or not, and they were we'll let you know. So I went home and had a restful few days there. It was Monday, I believe Monday the 8th, yes, of October. I was at home with my mom when my dad came home at 3 in the afternoon. When normally he comes home at 5, so it was a little weird. And immediately he took my mom to talk to her into upstairs. And I was just whatever. And all of a sudden, they call for me to come up, and I go up there and I sit in this chair and I see that they've both been crying. And like many people, I don't think I've ever seen my dad cry. He is always really strong, just like a funny guy, and I saw him crying, and it was really hard for me. I didn't start crying, but I was just what's going on? And it was at that moment that my dad told me that the tumor that they took out actually had stage 4 brain cancer in it. And I think both my parents were crying. My brother and sister were there, and they were for sure really shocked. I don't know if either of them cried. I was just this, this is still a dream. Oh, I only had a surgery a week ago, and you're telling me that the tumor they took out actually had cancer in it? So that was really hard. We kept going, and I I just remember, to this point, it's all been a downhill slope. Like, I blacked out. I found it's a brain tumor. I had to have surgery that, but it was the 15th of October, a whole week later, to when things started to perk up. Now, I'm the type of person who I'm a pretty light sleeper, but I don't tend to normally wake up during the night. But it was the it was the 15th in the morning. At about 2:30, I got woken up, and I could not fall back asleep, like for anything. And that's very weird. So I was just sitting there in my bed. Actually, I was laying there in my bed. And my parents have been telling me that this whole time I should be keeping a journal about like what I'm feeling. And so I started doing it. And at that time, Jesus and God were like showing me that you're supposed to go back into the ministry. I had at least one, if not two people tell me that this will be like powerful for people to hear like what I have to say. And it was at that moment that I decided that me switching to math was the wrong thing to do. I'm supposed to become a pastor. I may be introverted, semi-shy guy, but I have a story to tell and it needs to be heard by people. So it was at that moment that I just started writing in my journal, and I just stayed up all night listening to gospel music until like 6 in the morning, writing my journal about what happened. And that same day, I had speech, physical, and another one therapy. I don't remember. And all of them I did good, except I think the one that I don't remember, I think I had a little trouble with memory, but they were like setting like seven things on a table and like pointing at things and be like, okay, point at them backwards. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I had brain surgery less than 2 weeks ago. What is going on? So that was fine. I didn't have to go back. Actually, that same day, I believe, I got my stitches out, which was painful. Um, we, that Thursday, no, sometime that week, we went and met with someone about starting chemotherapy and radiation. And we made a mask because since it's brain cancer, they put a mask around your face and like strap it to the table so you can't move your head at all. You're like stuck there, and they move the table around you. And that's how it's done. And I would be doing that till about the beginning of December. So that was that. And totally off topic, the next day, the 20th-ish, I don't remember exactly what days all these were, but the 20th, I actually took my sister to go see Justin Bieber, which she had never been to a concert, so I was glad to do that for her, and it was really fun. Now, back to this. Um, it was around that time that my family started talking, because at this time we were getting a lot of different people coming and telling us what to do. We were having people say, oh, you need to go to this place and do this. Oh, you need to just drink this and you'll be healed. Oh, just go here and do this. And it was getting really stressful for my parents and for me because it's like, what if I don't listen to them and I don't get healed? Is that, what is that? And it was really hard when all of a sudden my parents and I decided that we were going to just do what we thought was best. We were going to shut the door. And it was a very good move because sometimes listening to other people is just so draining because everyone has an opinion. Everyone. Whether you think so or not, you do. And it's just really draining sometimes to take into account other people's opinions on anything. So it was really hard to go through that. When I believe it was around, it was that next week, the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th area, that my family went down to Rochester to go to Mayo Clinic to get a second opinion. And so I had an MRI there, which MRIs are very, very time consuming. Just so you know. They're not bad, but they take a really long time, especially for impatient people like me. And so we went down there and they were talking to us about how they actually found that they thought the tumor was something different than what the people at U of M thought. They thought it was a certain type of tumor and it was this that fit into this category. But at Mayo Clinic, they thought it was a less severe tumor that had mutated into something more aggressive, which was actually really good for us. But unfortunately, because of the aggressiveness of the tumor, I would still have to do radiation and chemotherapy. And at that time, we decided that Mayo was where I wanted to go for all my treatments and stuff. So we made that decision, and starting on the 30th of October, I started every day, Monday through Friday, so that was a Tuesday. So Monday through Friday, through December 14th, we went down every day for radiation, except Monday through Friday, obviously, and every day, all 7 days of the week, I took chemo pills, which chemo pills are good, because I hear the other chemo is very hard to do. So that was good. And throughout this whole time, God has just given me so much strength and peace about the whole situation that, to me, I just have to do it. But the effect that it's having on other people is tremendous. I'm hearing from like people telling me that I inspire them. At the time I was 20 and I was just like, I inspire you. My whole life I felt so like worthless, and here I inspire you. And I've had relatives tell me that this is like the first time they've prayed in a long time, and that was just to pray for me. And I can't even like explain to you how that feels to have relatives that don't know Jesus as their personal savior, to just in the face of trials like this, they're just changed and they're wanting to pray for you. And I would literally do this all again just to, if I would affect even more people. And I'm sure through my Caring Bridge that my dad and I have written on, I've had over 3,000 visits to it. And if if I've changed at least one person, if they're praying more, if they're reading their Bible more, if they're just doing good things for people, random acts of kindness more, then this has all been worth it. I'd do it again. And I just remember around Thanksgiving I started losing my hair, which didn't really matter to me. I buzzed my hair all the time. But December 14th, my last day of treatment, I remember going there, and they actually have this bell outside in the lobby of the radiation area that on your last treatment, you ring it 3 times to show that you are done with treatment and that you are on your way and you're doing well. And so I rang it, and that was one of the proudest moments of my life. But they gave me the mask that I wore there because I had to make one there as well. And this is the mask I had to wear. So it went on like this. And it's definitely a tool that I'll be using for the rest of my life, because this has been one of the most stressful yet peaceful, hard yet amazing times of my life. I Yes, I had to drop out of school. Yes, I haven't been able to work since, but I have gotten probably at least 100 cards, um, dozens of phone calls, many Facebook things that it's just, I've been so encouraged and blessed by everyone who's done that for me that I don't even care about having to go through it because my whole life I've just felt so overlooked and so unwanted from like the outside world that this proved that Jay, you are loved, you are wanted, and I'm just ready for the next step in my life. So, in a nutshell, that was basically my story. And I actually do still continue to update my journal that I started back in October. And once I get the clean bill of health, I will probably finish it and I'll probably publish parts of it. Not necessarily publish, but I'll post them somewhere. If not publish them, because I love to write books and share this with the world because I believe that there's so many people out there who don't have hope and they don't have a God to carry them and lean on when they find out you have cancer. Like, I'm 20 years old and I have cancer. By 21, I've had cancer, 3 heart surgeries, 3 broken bones, tonsils and adenoids. I mean, there is like nothing I can't take just because of what I've been through. And I'm just so excited that hopefully around summer 2014, I will be starting my own church and telling people about the amazing things God has done for me and the amazing things He wants to do for them as well. And so, just to kind of update you, I know that I put this up, but I'm actually not done with the whole process of the. I am not completely cancer free to the medical eye. Today is January 8th. Tomorrow, I go back down to Mayo, cause since it's been almost a month since I was done with radiation, to have an MRI and blood testing. Thursday, I go down and get told about the result, and we find out about the path. So, to everyone who watches this, I pray that everyone who watches this, either today, Tuesday the 8th, or tomorrow, Wednesday the 9th, that you would just be in prayer for me and my family, that I would get word that either Thursday or sometime in February, I am told that I'm completely cancer free, because that would be the most heartwarming, amazing thing to hear. And I just pray that you would keep me in your prayers, even write on my guest book in Caring Bridge, write me on Twitter, just keep me in your prayers because I am strong, but I have had times of weakness. I have had times where I just start crying. I have had times where I feel down and I just I need prayer. And I have actually had worn things on my body to remind myself. I have this bracelet that is actually a dummy bracelet, but it's Stay Strong because there are so many things in life that are pulling you around that I just want to stay strong and do God's will for my life. I have a purity ring that says 1 Thessalonians 4:3 on it that has been a huge blessing. And I actually have, why is Lily licking my toe? I have this cross necklace that is actually the 3 nails. It would help if you could see the 3 nails that Jesus had put in him. Um, I just want to be a disciple for God. That's all I want to do, and I just pray that you would keep me in your prayers, but also just seek God more each day because He literally, He's your Father. He loves you. He wants you to be there. He wants to be there for you, and whether you've had a good father relationship with your earthly father or not, if you've even had one, God can fill that void that's been there this whole time. And I just pray that you would seek him more each day because of this. I love everyone who watched this so much, and I just pray that you would feel better after watching this video, because this whole 3+ month journey has been very, very stressful, yet very fulfilling in my life. And actually next Wednesday, I return to school. Hopefully next week or the week after, I return to work. So just please keep me in your prayers, and just remember that if you have cancer, just remember that there there is still a light at the end of the tunnel, and that even though when you step in the tunnel things seem dark and sad and you just don't know where to go, just keep going forward, because there is a light at the end, and someday you'll be out of the tunnel and just ready to go and to conquer the world. And that's what I'm ready to do today.